Welcome to No Nonsense Nonprofits. Hi, I'm Sandy Ray, founder of Sandra E. Ray CPA, where we alleviate financial headaches so that you can create a bigger impact. Today, we're talking directly to our executive directors out there and helping you through a guide to financial leadership. As we know, the nonprofit financial landscape is always evolving and changing with this year alone with AI tools and inflation, new grant requirements, and changing donor expectations all the time. We've got to navigate that. So, our goal today is to help you move from being a budget keeper to a financial strategist and leaders who can read the numbers and steer the organization in a strategic manner towards the mission. Let's get started. First, I want to talk about the annual budget. We want to make sure it's active and alive and it's being used. So we also want to make sure that your budget is aligned with your strategic plan, what you want to accomplish this year. So I recommend a written narrative so that everyone understands what goes into the budget, what goes into those individual line items. Shift from using static spreadsheets to a dynamic cloud-based budgeting tool if you can. This will help you run different scenarios for forecasting. You can reforecast based on the actual activity that has happened so far this year. And you can do different tests for like inflation or cost surges. Link your budget items directly to the impacted metrics. So funders are increasingly asking for information for the outcomes, and they want to see how the dollars that they're investing is affecting the outcomes. So that is something you want to think about when building your dashboards and looking at your tools, the financial tools that you have available to you. You also want to train your program managers to be financially literate. Many of the decisions that they make affect how we're complying with how we're doing with in accordance with our budget. And they're the day-to-day managers. They're the one doing the scheduling of the team. They're the one who's scheduling program services. They're procuring supplies for their team and for our constituents. So train them on how their decisions impact us as an organization. Then I want you to commit to a financial projection. Move to a rolling monthly forecast instead of like quarterly reviews. So you're always not only looking at the past, but you're also looking into the future. You can use AI or Excel-based scenario modeling to help you with this, but you're really wanting to test your future scenarios that you're thinking about. Maybe you have a 10% grant cap coming up, or maybe you have a new donor with a major windfall that's coming in, and you're able to allocate that to some of the strategic plan items that you wanted to accomplish but didn't think you were going to get to this year. So I want you to combine your dashboard with forecasting and cash flows. Cash sustainability is the number one indicator of how your organization is doing, even if you're a seasonal organization. If you can level out inflows and outflows, if you can manage that, where there's some months where you have excess cash inflows and some months where you have excess cash outflows, if you're able to manage that, then your organization is running smoothly. One thing I want you to think about, and many of us get so focused on the mission, we don't think about diversifying our income. So I would like you to think about blending traditional fundraising with earned income or passive income to supplement that. It could be as simple as, selling things on a web store or leasing out some of your excess office space, things like that, investing your income into interest and dividends so that you're receiving that kind of return on your cash. So those are some of the things I want you to think about. Also, I would like you to think about prioritizing multi-year and unrestricted grants. Funders want to invest in a strategy, and a strategy can take more than 1 year. Convince them that they can do 2, 3, 4, 5 year grants and not just for a specific program. That in order to implement the strategy, we're going to need new staffing, we're going to need training, we're going to need all kinds of new computer equipment, or we want to invest in AI and train our staff to do things like that. So those things, many grantors are willing to fund that type of activity. So think about prioritizing those kinds of grants. And investigate other innovative funding approaches such as impact investing or program-related investing to expand your financial support for mission-driven initiatives. And what I mean by that is invest your resources with the intention of generating a social or environmental impact that aligns with your mission and the opportunity to get a return on your investment. The simplest thing that I can think of would be a loan to an organization or a for-profit organization. Maybe you're loaning funds to a contractor who builds low-income housing. Not only are you helping to bring more low-income housing into your community, but you are also getting a return on investment through the interest of the loan. So those are the kinds of things I want you to be creative about and consider for your organization. Another thing I want to talk about is planning for financial reserves. Now, this helps you with your cash flow. Generally, we want to plan for a 3 to 6 month reserve fund for liquidity. Make it a formal board policy, and within the policy, how the funds are going to be built up, when the funds can be spent, when the funds have to be replenished. Create a resiliency fund to innovate or into new programs so you have that funding to do those new programs in the future, or bridge funding gaps. Maybe we've got more money going out than we have money coming in, and we need to bridge that gap until we get over the valley of the negative cash flow. And then connect reserve levels to specific risks like seasonal cash flow, what we were talking about. Be very intentional about seasonal cash flow, or maybe even governmental reimbursement delays. We all know that's happening. It's happened in the past, whether the funding is frozen or cut off, or there's less staff for them to process those funding requests. Those are some things that we can use our reserves to get us through that time frame in that delay for that government funding. I want you to rethink your restricted funding. Frame restricted funding around core infrastructure that drives outcomes like data, training, and evaluation. Our programs and our restricted funding that supports those programs should hopefully be helping us with these costs as well. We want to educate funders on the full cost, including our overhead. And we want you to be transparent that this is overhead. Staff development isn't overhead cost, but it's essential for the efficient running of our programs. And then also consider leveraging AI tools to streamline grant writing, align proposals with funder language, and how we can use it within our programs as well. Now, staffing. Our staff is our most important asset, but we may not always have the funds to hire the expertise that will help our organization grow or maintain what we need to do. So consider a hybrid staffing model. I think most people, especially smaller organizations, are doing this, where you pair the internal talent with a part-time expert, somebody like a CFO or an IT professional. Those are the first two things that come to mind. Maybe a grant writer. Those are if the combination of the internal staff and that part-time high-level expertise is going to help your organization in so many ways. I want you to make sure that your finance team has the skills to focus on strategic analysis and not just bookkeeping. And believe me, I know how important bookkeeping is, accuracy and timeliness. But once that's done, you want to make sure that you have somebody with the skills to do that strategic analysis, to set up those dashboards, to provide you with feedback on what is going on, what are the trends, what are we looking at into the future. And then finally, we want to make sure that we are prioritizing cybersecurity for the data that's private within our systems. Not only we have employee data, we have constituent data. We don't want that getting out. And much of that runs through our financial system. So you want to make sure that you are prioritizing cybersecurity within that financial system. Another thing, board members come to us with many different talents, and not all of them are talented in the financial, being able to read financials, understand financials, and think about strategically the financial health of the organization. So I want you to make sure that all of your board members are comfortable in this area. Think about replacing those static PDFs with a live dashboard that they can access anytime that they want and help your board to visualize what is happening financially with your organization. Offer some short, recurring board finance training to build their financial literacy. And remember that board really needs the big picture. They want trends, they want ratios. They don't need to dig into the ledgers. Your treasurer may want to do that. That's their treasurer's responsibility. But the entire board needs to understand the big picture of the finances and how that is going to help us drive the strategic plan and the mission of the organization. Another thing we're going to want to do is manage risk. Update your risk register to include digital, reputational, and client risks. Using a risk management template or software, even a simple one, can help you prioritize these threats. Integrate your risk management directly into your strategic plan and your annual planning. It's very important that you have the funds to be able to do the things that help you manage that risk. Now, I want to talk a little bit about emerging areas in 2025 for you to focus on. It's pretty late in 2025, but 2025, 2026. AI and automation are not going away, but we need to make sure that we're using these things ethically, that we're using them with human oversight, and we are establishing policies for data accuracy and bias elimination, because we all know that it's just a ton of information out there. The AI is still learning. We need to be doing our fact checking. Another thing that we want to look at in the end of 2025 and beginning of 2026 is our environmental and social impact. How are we reporting that? How can the financial system help us do that reporting, get that information to our board and our funders so that they can see the impact that we are having in our communities? And then finally, workforce sustainability. We want to make sure that we have enough in our budget to pay our team a fair amount of compensation, including benefits. And we also want to look at their professional growth. We want to support them in that. Your people are your most critical asset, and they can make or break your organization. So to wrap up, I want to just quickly talk about the fundamentals of financial leadership. They're timeless, they never go away. Things like clarity and discipline and foresight have always been around. But in the new era, we have to be agile, we have to be tech literate, and we have to be socially aware. So those are some things that you're going to need to, if you feel a little bit lacking in one of those areas, I would encourage you to improve your own professional development and get some training in things like tech literacy, for example. Executive directors today have to be a blend of financially literate, financially strong and understanding and helping our organizations and adapt strategically, sometimes day to day, year to year, for organizations to grow and to thrive. So I would encourage you to review your budget and your forecasting tools. Are they dynamic or are they static? What do you need to do? Schedule a quarterly financial strategy session with your leadership team. Keep them informed on what's going on, have them keep you informed on what's going on, and invest in staff and board financial training. I think that will go a long way in helping your organization stay financially healthy. So I hope this was helpful for you today. And if you have any questions on this or other topics, please put that in the comment section below. We always appreciate your likes, and I want to thank you for joining me today. Remember, creating a bigger impact starts with stopping the nonsense. If you are dealing with nonsense in your nonprofit organization, we'd love to help you cut through the noise.